0300 hours. The Arctic Circle, a cold, black silence pressed against the hull of the USS Connecticut, a US Seawolf-class attack submarine slicing through the frigid Arctic waters. Snowstorms raged above the ice, but below the world was quiet. Too quiet. Inside the Connecticut's dimly lit control room, the sonar officer frowned at his screen. "Con, I've got something strange." The captain turned. "What is it?" The sonar operator tapped a spectrogram. "That's low frequency. Very low. Approximately 40 hertz. The intel officer leaned in. "That's not commercial. That's not seismic. That's mechanical." The room went silent. Mechanical meant submarine. And in this part of the Arctic, there was only one adversary bold enough to lurk this close: Russia's Northern Fleet. The contact appears 0304 hours. The sonar operator stiffened. Contact classified, Russian signature, Yasen-M class. The captain's expression hardened. The Yasen-M is one of Russia's most advanced nuclear attack submarines, fast, stealthy, and deadly. NATO designates it as Severodvinsk-class. The intel officer whispered, "That thing shouldn't be this far west." He paused. "Or this close to us." The captain nodded. "Range? Approximately 9,000 yards and closing. Too close. Much too close." Unverified, the Yasen's mission. Several OSINT channels had recently circulated an unverified claim. A Yasen-class submarine had been ordered to shadow and test US submarine detection responses in the Arctic. The Pentagon never confirmed the rumor, but the behavior of this Yasen-M fit the profile perfectly. It wasn't avoiding the Connecticut, it was approaching it. The Yasen shows its presence. 0308 hours. A strange rumble echoed through the deep. The sonar operator froze. "Oh, no!" A sudden powerful burst of sound ripped through the water. The control room vibrated. Crew instinctively covered their ears. The captain shouted, "Report!" The sonar operator yelled over the reverb, "Russian sub, just fired a sonar burst. Active, high power." The entire US submarine crew went pale. The Russian Yasen-M had just fired an active sonar warning burst. A rare, aggressive signal used only when a submarine wants another vessel to know, "We see you, we can hit you, back off." The implication. The intel officer spoke in a low voice. "Captain, an active burst at that range could compromise our exact position." The captain replied, "They know where we are, but do they know what we can do?" The exec officer added, "This is the most hostile underwater signal I've seen in years." Then, a second burst. Louder, closer, more focused. The hull shuddered. The Connecticut prepares to act. 0311 hours. The captain rose from his chair. "Sound general quarters. All hands to battle stations." Klaxons sounded through narrow corridors. Sailors rushed to their posts. The weapons officer stood by the torpedo console. "Sir, we're in firing envelope." The captain held up a hand. "No one fires unless we're fired upon." But he ordered, "Load 2 Mark 48s. Arm countermeasures." The message was clear. If Russia escalated once more, it would be answered. The Yasen makes its move 0314 hours. Sonar called out again. "Russian sub changing depth, descending, fast." The intel officer frowned. "What are they doing?" Before anyone could answer, a third blast. Shorter, sharper, more focused. The sonar operator's voice cracked. "Captain, that wasn't a warning burst." Everyone leaned in. "That was targeting sonar. They're painting us." The exec swallowed. "If they're painting us, they're preparing a launch." A message from above. Suddenly, a new voice crackled over secure comms. It was the USS Harry S. Truman Carrier Strike Group, positioned hundreds of miles south. "Connecticut, be advised. NORAD satellite detected unusual acoustic activity under the ice. Possible hostile positioning." The captain responded, "We have confirmed Yasen-M contact. Aggressive, 3 active bursts." The carrier's admiral replied, "Maintain defensive posture. Do not break stealth. We're monitoring." But underwater, stealth was already broken. The Russian sub had forced it. Unverified. Russian internal tension. Some unverified Russian naval leaks later suggested the Yasen captain had received ambiguous orders. The sonar burst was intended as a deterrent, not provocation. A miscommunication between officers escalated the situation. None of this was confirmed, but the Yasen-M's next move was far from ambiguous. 0320 hours. Arctic Circle, the submarine's control room, went dead silent. Sonar whispered, "Con, the Yasen just opened its outer torpedo tube doors." The captain clenched his jaw. "That's not a drill, That's an invitation. The intel officer nodded. Sir, Russian doctrine usually fires a test pulse before a real shot. The captain replied, they've already fired 4. The exec officer exhaled sharply. This is Escalation. The US submarine responds. The captain issued the order. Weapons, set Mark 48s to full active readiness. The weapons officer's fingers moved across the panel. Mark 48 ADCAPS armed. Gyro set. Awaiting authority. The torpedoes hummed quietly inside the tubes, as if they sensed what was coming, but the captain did not authorize launch. Not yet. He turned to sonar. Range? 5,000 yards, closing to 4. The US submarine was being stalked like prey. A hidden player emerges. Another sonar ping, but not from the Yasen, a different frequency. Higher pitch, shorter duration. The sonar operator frowned. New contact. Everyone looked up. What kind of contact? It's a second Russian submarine. The intel officer's eyes widened. Another Yasen. Negative. This one is older. Akula-class. The room froze. Russia had deployed 2 attack subs, and the Connecticut was right between them. A classic pincer trap. Unverified, the real Russian intention. Some unverified OSINT discussions later claimed Russia was testing US acoustic resilience. The Yasen's sonar bursts were calibrated intimidation. The Akula was there only to collect data. None of this was confirmed, but the US crew, trapped between 2 nuclear-powered submarines, wasn't about to rely on rumors. The Russians show their hand 0324 hours. The Yasen's frequency shifted. Sonar shouted, "Captain, Russian sub has switched to torpedo guidance mode." The captain hissed, "Here we go." The weapons officer raised his voice. "Sir, permission to fire?" The captain didn't respond immediately. He stared at the sonar screen. The Yasen-M shifted again. Range now 3,000 yards. Too close. Way too close. The first attack, 0325 hours. A sudden metallic roar cut through the deep. Sonar screamed, "Torpedo in the water! Torpedo in the water!" The control room erupted in shouts. The captain grabbed the intercom. "All hands, brace for evasive maneuvers." The Connecticut banked hard to port. The hull groaned under the strain. The intel officer yelled, "It's coming straight for us." But then, sonar corrected itself. "Negative, torpedo is not tracking us. It's headed for the Akula." The room went silent. The Russian Yasen had fired a torpedo at another Russian submarine. The exec officer whispered, "What the hell?" Confusion in the deep. The sonar operator looked stunned. "Captain, Akula is deploying countermeasures. They think we fired it." The captain gripped the rail. "We're being framed." The intel officer nodded slowly. "The Yasen set us up. They fired a shot to make it look like we fired the first torpedo. This was catastrophic. If the Akula believed it was under attack by the US sub, it could retaliate and trigger a war." "Captain," the weapons officer said, "we need to signal." "No," the captain snapped. "We stay silent. A single wrong signal could escalate everything further." The US breaks the trap. 0328 hours. Another torpedo. This one definitely targeted the Connecticut. Sonar shouted, "Torpedo lock on US. Sub." The captain barked, "Hard starboard. Launch countermeasures. Fire acoustic decoys." Explosive canisters fired from the Connecticut's launchers, releasing noisemakers, chaff, and bubble curtains. The torpedo twisted, searching, confused. Sonar yelled, "It's lost lock." The exec officer nodded. "Now's our chance. We move." The captain agreed. "Make depth 1,200 feet. Full silent running." The submarine slid deeper into the Arctic void. A third player enters. Suddenly, a powerful new sonar blast tore through the water. Not Russian, not American. Sonar reported, "New contact, large displacement, high output sonar, signature matches. A British Astute-class submarine." The intel officer nearly choked. "The Royal Navy." The captain's eyes widened. "They've been shadowing the Russians." The British sub fired its own counter-sonar burst, stronger than anything yet heard. An unmistakable message. "Back off." The Russian sub's panic. The Akula-class sub suddenly broke upward, ascending fast, running. The Yasen also shifted depth, retreating east. Sonar reported, "They're both disengaging." The exec officer shook his head. "They weren't expecting company." The intel officer added, "They thought they were the hunters. Turns out they were being hunted too." The final close call. 0334 hours. As the Connecticut stabilized at depth, sonar registered one last ominous signal. A delayed echo from the Yasen. A final warning burst. Soft, but deliberate. The captain exhaled through his teeth. A parting shot. The intel officer added, "A message." The captain nodded. "We received it." The aftermath. 0340 hours. A secure message arrived from U.S. Northern Command. Connecticut, disengage and return to patrol. Higher authorities reviewing Russian actions. Do not provoke further contact. The captain acknowledged. Understood. As the Connecticut turned west into safer waters, the crew finally breathed. The weapons officer said quietly, "Sir, that could have started a war." The captain replied, "It still might. But not today." He stared at the empty sonar display. Today, everyone walked away.